and start them. Now, and I'll end it, end the class once we're done with the meditation. All right, well, thank you so much for coming tonight. We'll start by coming into a comfortable, either seated or constructive rest. That could be seated in a chair, seated on the ground, or laying on your back in constructive rest. If you want to be seated with your legs in a crisscross applesauce, you could do that. Or maybe you sit on a block or a pillow, or like I said, the chair. Start to settle in. Allow your eyes to close, your gaze to soften. Start to separate yourself from the day that you had, the week that you had. Start to just come into this very moment, this very spot that you've created here for yourself tonight. With your spine straight and strong, relax your shoulders and take a few long, easy breaths. In through your nose if it's available, and out through your mouth. As we settle in here, we'll start to take a moment to notice any sensations that we're feeling in our bodies. It could be aches or pains that are calling our attention, or a sense of energy or lethargy. As we bring these things to our awareness, we don't judge them, just simply acknowledge them. With our next deep inhale in, I want us to pause at the top. We start to take a deep listening breath. For this breath, we hold the pause at the top for really as long as it feels comfortable in our lungs. You're welcome to count the pause if you would like the mental focus of counting, or simply feel the pause, deeply listening. And then when you can't hold the pause any longer, allow your breath to exhale. Now don't let this be a struggle to hold that breath at the top. But when you feel ready, release. We'll continue the cycle of breath, breathing in, pausing for that extended time at the top of your breath, and then easily gliding into that exhale. And we'll continue this cycle of breath for the next few rounds of our meditation. With our next inhale, we'll bring a couple of fingers to a pulse point. Maybe it's a pulse point on the inner wrist, or maybe on the neck below the ears. As you start to rest those two fingers against that pulse point, really allow your steady inhale and feel your heart beating. Here you are. Begin to let any thoughts melt into the pure sensation of your heartbeat as you turn inward. And when you reach that long exhale, your entire consciousness drops from your head into the open, generous space of your heart. Witness this descent with a calm and quiet awareness. Feel the warmth of your fingertips, subtle rising and falling in your torso and abdomen. You start to notice any strong emotions or memories, or even sparks of desire drawing your attention. Simply be here to witness them, breathing through it all. Noticing that your heart is big enough to hold everything. The next time you reach the top of your inhale, holding your breath, while holding, listen and feel how your heart beats louder the longer you hold. Maybe the louder the heartbeat becomes. And then release that breath, extending that exhale, making it longer and deeper than it was before. And then when you're ready, allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. Before we release this meditation, this grounding exercise, take a moment to sense just how intelligent our bodies are, how devoted to our existence it is. Every long, deep breath is exactly what our heart has been looking for. Heartbeat by heartbeat, your veins become rivers of life. And breath by breath, vitality reaches every cell. Trillions of cells simply want you to continue breathing. And as we wrap up this grounding meditation, I'll offer you some affirmations. You're welcome to repeat after me or simply listen. Everything I feel is allowed to take up space. My heart is big enough to hold it all. Even if my heart is breaking, it can beat with devotion. Within my pain is a quiet joy, the miracle of existence. And there is an ocean of infinite love within me. I always keep a light on in my heart, and I can always find my way back home. We'll take this last moment to offer ourselves a bit of gratitude that we took time out of our busy week to start to slow down and connect with our heartbeat, with our movement, and with ourselves. As you're ready, you begin to wiggle fingers and toes and flutter the eyes open. If you're down in a constructive rest, go ahead and come on up into a seated position. And we'll start by crossing the right leg in front of the left in our crisscross applesauce, sitting up tall through the spine. And then let's take the arms out to the side and we'll start to circle them up overhead, reaching up as high as feels good. They can be wider or closer together. You can even touch if that feels good here as we stretch and reach through the sides of the body. And then let's begin to drop the right hand down the spine. You can capture the hand, the wrist, or even the elbow, or even bring that strap in between the arms. We're going to reach that right elbow as high towards the ceiling as we can, as we lengthen through our spine. Noticing how that feels to the sides of our body. Now, throughout our practice, you can come back into that deep listening breath to really connect with it throughout our practice. Let's inhale to look up. And then exhale, dropping left arm. We find our cow face pose on this side. Inhale, arms up, look up, and with an exhale, let's drop the arms by the side and take any shoulder movement we might want after that movement. All right, with our next inhale, let's take our arms out wide to a T, and then we're going to go ahead and bend our elbows. Now we have options. We can bring our bend so that our hands rest on our shoulders, or you can bring your bend so your hands rest on your hips, depending on what you're feeling today. With our next inhale, we're going to start to lift our elbows as high into the air as possible. Which again, if your hands are on your hips, that might not be very high. But feel the way the shoulder blades lift up, whichever variation you're choosing. And then with an exhale, we're going to comb the lats. As we exhale, we bring those elbows down towards our hips. And then take that on your own, inhaling to lift the elbows, exhale to lower the elbows. And notice how that feels through those shoulder blades and the rotation through the shoulder blades. Great job. We'll take that one last time. Inhale up, hold at the top. Exhale it down. All right, with our next series, we'll take these elbows and we'll circle them out and around, going in opposite directions here with those elbows. All right, you're doing a great job with those elbow circles. They can be really wide or they could be little shallow circles, depending on how your shoulders are feeling with the movement. And then let's go ahead and reverse those circles, whatever way you were doing it, just simply reverse it a little bit. All right, go ahead and release the hands down by the sides, and then go ahead and switch the cross of the leg, bringing the left foot into the crisscross on the front of the left foot. We'll inhale, circle arms up and overhead, maybe look up on the inhale, and then exhale, let's twist it towards our right. Maybe you capture the inner left leg or maybe the outer right leg as you begin to twist towards your right shoulder. Press into your hand behind you, whether it's on a chair or on the floor behind you, or maybe on a prop, to really lengthen your spine on your inhale. And exhale, twist towards that right shoulder. You're doing a wonderful job. Inhale to come back through center and look up. And then exhale to twist towards the left. With our inhale, go ahead and come back through center. And then with our exhale, let's take the arms down through center into a prayer pose. Great job. Inhale, taking those arms out wide. And then let's come into an eagle arm variation, taking our right arm under the left arm and then walking the hands up towards the shoulders. Now you're welcome to stay here. You're welcome to start to bring the backs of the hands together or the fronts of the hands. Or maybe you use that strap and bring it in between the hands. Really work to keep your spine straight here. You're doing a great job. All right, exhale to release, arms back to a T. And then this time the left arm comes under the right. Find your hug and then take it into your eagle arm variation of choice. Take about 3 breaths here. Exhale to release. And then let's go ahead and take our legs really wide here. We can keep the bend in the knees or we can press through the heels and peel the toes back towards our shin. You can even bring a prop under the knees if you're on the floor. And that adds a little bit of comfort in this position. All right. You can also have a prop under your hips, anything from a blanket to a pillow to a block to a chair. We'll keep our spine lengthened on our inhale, and then let's start to walk ourselves forward into a forward fold. If you're seated in the chair, you might just walk your hands down your thighs, or if you're on the floor, you might want to walk your hands forward or even onto a prop as you hinge and find that deep bend throughout the lumbar spine. Beautiful forward fold. Let's inhale to come back to our straight spine. Our exhale turns us towards our right leg. And then go ahead and exhale and hinge over that right leg. Now you could bring your strap around your foot. You can bring your hands to your floor or to your leg. Or simply hold anywhere on your foot or leg that feels all right as you hinge towards that extended leg. Great job. Inhale to come back to your center. Exhale to twist it over to the left and then hinge it forward. Find that forward fold. Leaning into your breath. Beautiful job. Our next inhale comes back up to a straight spine. And then we're going to take it into a little bit of a side bend. So let's take our left leg and bring a bend into it and tuck it into that right inner thigh. We're going to take our right hand, we're going to walk it down the leg. And then we're going to start to lift our left hand out behind us and maybe reach it up towards the ceiling or even reach it over towards the right side of the room. Now, if you are taking this seated in a chair, you don't bring that left thigh all the way into the inner thigh, but simply bring a bend into it. Take it a little wider out to the side for stability. Walking your right hand as far down that leg as feels good before sending that arm up and overhead. No matter which variation you're in, our top shoulder wants to be rolling towards the wall behind you before you send your arm up or over. And then let's take our gaze up towards the top arm. And then with an exhale, lower your gaze down towards the floor. And take this movement through the neck just a couple of times on your own. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Beautiful job. One last time. Inhale to come through center. And then let's switch sides here. So sending that left leg long and finding the bend in the right leg that feels supportive for you. We sit up tall through the spine. Begin to walk the left hand down the left leg. Inhale to lift that right arm up overhead. And then keeping the shoulder pulled back. Maybe we start to send it over towards the left side of the room. Opening up through the entire right rib cage. Exhale, drop your gaze towards the floor. Inhale to lift it towards the ceiling. Take it at your own pace for a few cycles of breath. Inhale to come through center. Beautiful job. Alrighty, from here, let's go ahead and come into a tabletop position. If you're taking floor poses, you can bring hands under shoulders and knees under hips. And if you're taking this from a standing variation, you're going to bring your prop under your hands so that your hands are in line with your shoulders and your feet are in line with your hips. So either way, we're creating a space where we could set a pot of flowers on our back and it would stay there. And from our tabletop, let's take a few cat-cows, dropping the belly as we lift our heart, lift our gaze, and then with an exhale, round through the spine, curling chin to chest. And taking this with a count of 4 on your inhale and a count of 4 on your exhale. Really allowing it to be an equal and steady movement here. Alrighty. Go ahead and find your tabletop once more. And then for our next pose, if you're taking floor poses, go ahead and come on down to your belly. And then slide your right arm diagonal across the space over, so the hand is on the left side and the elbow is on the right. And then if you're taking a standing variation, you can take it on a chair or even a wall or another type of surface by coming close to your prop and sliding your right hand over to the left side of that prop. Or also a diagonal on a wall would work as well. So whichever variation you're taking, you have a little bit of a cobra happening in the upper body with a little bit of a bend, and then start to bend your left heel and bring it back towards your hip. You can grab that foot or ankle with your hand, or maybe you grab that strap and wrap it around the foot and ankle to help us with this quad stretch. Great job. Last breath here. Exhale to release. And then we'll take that on the other side. So make sure to shift the weight back through center. Slide the left hand on the diagonal towards the right. And then start to lift the right toes, finding your quad stretch with strap or hand on the opposite side. All right, with your exhale, go ahead and release the foot back down. Come back through center. And then from wherever you're at, either on your belly, coming up into a tabletop, or if you're standing, coming back into a tabletop. And then we'll find our downward dog. So letting our head drop between our arms, lifting our knees if we're on the floor, creating that V shape. Take just a few moments to pedal through the legs and shift the weight left to right. Sometimes taking your downward dog on a wall or a chair can really just add quite a bit more comfort to the wrist, the lower back, or many different areas of the body. We'll take just a couple more breaths here. Maybe you eventually start to settle into stillness and that deep listening breath. We'll look back at our feet and then begin to walk your hands towards your feet, coming into your first standing forward fold. You're welcome to have a prop under your hands of any height or have your hands on your own legs. Keep a nice generous bend in your knees here. And with our next inhale, let's lift up halfway. Exhale, hinge into your forward fold. Inhale, drop the hips, tall mountain, circling the arms up and overhead. Reach them up really high here. And then we're going to come into a side bend. So again, your hands can be together. They can be separate. You could bring your right hand to your hip or to a prop. But we're going to start to lean towards the left and shoot that left hip over to the left side of the room. Inhale, come to center. Exhale, take it to the left. Great job. Inhale back through center. And then take an exhale to cactus the arms here as you pull your heart forward and your gaze up. Beautiful job. Inhale, circle those arms up and overhead. And with an exhale, bring it down through your prayer pose at heart center. Great job. All right. For this next variation, we're going to come either into a standing lunge or a kneeling lunge. So it depends on what feels better for your body. You're taking the left leg back first. You're going to take that knee down to the ground. You're welcome to add a little bit of cushioning like a pillow or a blanket or even just rolling your mat up just a little bit. And we're going to sink into that front leg, finding our crescent lunge. You're taking this from a higher position. Go ahead and keep that back knee lifted. Put both knees firmly bent. Whichever variation we're taking, our core is engaged. Our thigh muscles are pulling towards each other. You can keep your hands on your prop. You can bring them to your heart. Or maybe you can lift them up overhead in a crescent lunge of your choice. Great job. All righty. From our lunge variation of our choice, we're going to take a side bend. So maybe bringing a block by your hip if you're on the floor. And if you're standing, you can always use your prop here. Or you can keep those hands together or separate. Or bring that right hand to your hip even. And then lean to the right. Great job. Inhale to come back through center. And then let's bring that back foot in and switch sides. Now, if you're taking this from the floor variation, it might be better to come into a tabletop and bring the other leg forward versus stepping back into a standing and then coming back down. So finding what feels best for you. We get back into our low lunge or high lunge of choice. When you're feeling nice and steady, inhale, circling arms up and overhead. Or bringing them to a prayer or keeping them on your prop. Feeling steady, feeling strong. You're doing a beautiful job. Let's take our side bend, bringing maybe a prop to your left hip, your hand to your left hip or to a prop. You begin to lean over towards the left. And as always, you can keep those hands just both lifted. Beautiful job. Let's come back through center and then Let's come back into our mountain pose. All right, great job in our mountain pose. From here, let's step that left foot back again. This time we're going to take it to a warrior one. So we're going to take the toes out to the side, the heel drops to the mat, and then we're going to make sure our hips are facing forward as we begin to bend into that front knee. You can, as always, keep hands on hips, your prop, a prayer, or send them up in the air. Feel the strength here. We want to pull those thigh muscles together, pull our abdomen towards our spine. Keep a straight spine through the top of the head. Beautiful job. Their next exhale, I want us to release our left hand, the same one as the back leg. We're gonna guitar strum it down by our left hip. And then our options are to keep it on the hip or slide it down the leg as you start to reverse your warrior one. Maybe your gaze comes up towards that front hand, or maybe it comes back towards your back leg. Inhale through your warrior one. We're going to start to straighten that front leg, and then let's circle the hands to the lower back to take a bind. Grabbing opposite hand, opposite wrist, opposite elbows, or even just your shirt, drawing the knuckles towards the floor. And then starting to take a hinge and folding over that front leg. Now, if you start to feel it strongly in the knee, find a bend in the knee and move the stretch into the meat of that thigh muscle. Now, you can keep your hands on your hips here, or you could even lift them off for a little bit more shoulder engagement. Beautiful job. Inhale to come back to your warrior one. And then we're going to take that opposite hand, the right hand this time, the same one as the front leg. Guitar strum it down by our right leg and hip. And then either keeping it on your hip and sliding it over to the left side, or maybe sliding it down that back leg. We're reversing our warrior with a cross-body twist. Inhale to bring it back through your warrior one. Exhale, step it up. Great job. Take any movement you need, and then we'll take that whole sequence on the right side. So we start by stepping that right foot back, warrior one. Inhale, bend through that front knee. Find the strong, steady legs, the engaged core, the strong torso. You're doing a great job tonight. We'll take one last breath here. Exhale, right hand strums the guitar as we find our reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, bring the hands behind the back, switch the grip somehow, maybe switch which thumb is on top or find a different way to switch it up. Exhale, hinge into the forward fold of the pyramid. Maybe hands lift off the hips. Exhale to release hands, inhale, lengthening the spine. We find our warrior one once more, inhaling arms, finding extension or prayer, and then left hand comes by the front leg, and then either across to the right hip or down the right leg as we find that reverse warrior cross body twist. Inhale through your warrior one. Exhale to release, stepping it into your mountain. All right, feel free to take any movement you need. We're just going to come into a little bit of a balance challenge next. So for this one, you may want to put a couple of blocks at the front of your mat or use a different prop, like your chair or your wall, to help steady with your balance. All right, as we stand in our mountain pose, let's lift our arms up and overhead. We'll take that Venn sequence one more time. Hands come to the right as the hips go to the left. Inhale through center, take it to the right or left. Hips to the right. Inhale through center. Exhale, swan dive it into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And then we're going to pause here. Again, maybe there's a prop under your hands for support here. And we're going to find a warrior three next. So we're going to start to shift our weight into our left leg and start to lift our right toes behind us. They can stay on the ground for ultimate support or start to lift them a little or a lot. Maybe even bringing them all the way up to hip height, if that's available in your body. Now you can keep those hands firmly planted on your prop, or maybe play with bringing one or both to heart center. Great job. All right, finding that steady balanced pose, maybe holding onto your prop once more. We're going to start to sweep that back leg in front of us as we come up to standing, bringing the knee bent in a 90-degree in front of us. Great job. Now, once you're feeling steady here, maybe you have a spot on the floor that's not moving. Start to open that knee out to the right side, and we'll find a tree pose to land in. You can keep your hands on your hips or your prop, or maybe you start to lift them up overhead into a Y, a cactus, a circle, a scary Halloween tree blowing in a hurricane, finding wherever you're at in this moment. Beautiful job. All right, with our exhale, go ahead and bring your hands down to your hips. Inhale, knee comes back through center and then lowers to the mat. Beautiful job. Let's take that whole sequence on the other side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, side bend to the right. Through center. Side bend to the left. Through center. Exhale, swan dive into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And then let's find that grounded warrior three. As we shift to the right foot, we begin to lift the left toes up to hip height. Remember to keep a bend in that standing knee. And you're always welcome to play with a hand placement. If you don't want to hold on to a prop, you could always bring them to a prayer at heart center. You're doing a great job. All right, last breath, playing with our warrior three. Our inhale finds our steadiness before we start to come up to standing, swinging that back knee and bringing it in front of us at a 90-degree bend. Once we're feeling sturdy and steady there, opening the knee to the side and finding our tree pose. Welcome to find either the same or different arm placements. You're doing great. Inhale to bring it back through center. Exhale to step it down. Great job. Inhale, circle arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take a slow roll to come all the way up to standing, circling arms up and overhead, reaching up tall. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, tall mountain, and then bring it down through center to bring the hands by the hips. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and grab our strap for one more pose here. We're gonna take our legs a little wider than hip distance, and maybe even a little wider than mat's distance even. We'll take the toes out and the heels in, and then let's start to take that strap in between our hands, about shoulder distance, and then find a little bit of resistance as you pull the straps apart from each other. Now we have options here. You can keep your hands at shoulder height and extend them out in front of you. Or the other option is to take those hands at shoulder height and then extend them up towards the ceiling. With our exhales, we're going to start to bend through the knees, continuing to pull the strap apart as we lower it either towards our shoulders or pull it back in towards our shoulders if we're taking it out in front of us. Inhales, lengthen us out of the squat and lift or push the hands away. And then exhale, we drop and sink it down. Now, if you're lifting your hands overhead, that strap can either come behind the head or in front of the face. Each variation will offer a different shoulder stretch, so find the one that feels like the best stretch for your body today. The slower you go, you might notice it feeling a little shaky. You're doing great. 3 more. Beautiful job. All right. Go ahead and release the strap over to the side of the space. And then let's walk the feet in, not all the way to hip distance, but maybe to mat distance. So they're still a little bit wider. And for this one, you may want those blocks in front of you or another prop. We'll inhale, tall mountain. Exhale, take it into a hinge, into your forward fold here. And then inhale, halfway lift. This is going to be the top point of this next move. And with our exhale, we're going to bend into the legs and sink into our hips into a squat position. And then inhale to lengthen, dropping forehead towards your legs. Inhale, sink into your squat, halfway lift the torso. Exhale, forward fold. Take this pulse on your own for just a couple of cycles. Really working into those glutes, lower back. You're doing great. One last time, sink it in. See if you can go even a little bit lower. Inhale, slow roll, coming all the way up to your tall spine. Alrighty, from here, let's go ahead and come down onto our mat or seated in our chair. As we are going to come into a seated figure 4. So if you're on the mat, go ahead and bring your feet about hip distance apart. Send your left leg long and then bring that right leg and cross that right ankle over the left knee, letting the right knee open up. You can keep your leg extended, or you can bring a bend into the knee, starting to draw your heart a little closer to your shin. Now, if you're taking this variation, the seated figure 4, from a chair, you could also bring it on top of that leg, and you could send that leg long or have it bent. But you also don't have to bring it up this high. The goal here is really just to open up through that outer hip. So maybe you bring it onto a block in front of you and create a little bit of space for your body here. And again, you can lengthen through the spine here or start to hinge forward, bringing your heart closer to that shin, no matter where you're at in this seated figure 4. Noticing how that feels in that outer hip, maybe the glute. You're doing a great job. Alrighty, if we have a bent left knee, go ahead and send that out long. And then we're going to come into a sage twist. So our options are to bring our foot to the floor outside of the left leg or inside of the left leg. Or if you're seated in the chair, maybe you're hugging the knee in towards your chest or holding it with your strap. And we're going to take our left shoulder towards our right knee as we twist our right hand behind us onto the chair or the floor and twist our gaze towards our right shoulder. Great job. Exhale to release through center, and then let's switch sides. Finding our seated figure 4 on the left side, letting that left knee open, that left hip peel open to the side, either lengthening the spine, keeping that right leg bent, or sending it long, maybe drawing our heart closer to our shin. Wherever variation we're taking, we still want to keep a flex in that left ankle. This helps keep the things in alignment as we take this figure 4. One last breath here. Our exhale releases that right leg and we find our sage twist variation. Foot on the inside, foot on the outside, or a knee hugging to the torso. We lengthen the spine as we twist our right shoulder towards our left knee. Now you can just hug that knee, you could hook the elbow, you could wrap the knee around the elbow, whatever feels good here to really help you assist this twist. Great job. Exhale to release. Send both legs long in front of you. Inhale, circle arms up and overhead. And with our exhale, I want us to reach down towards our legs and towards our toes, coming into a seated staff forward fold. Beautiful. With our inhale, roll it up to a straight spine. If you're on the mat, go ahead and roll down onto your back. If you're seated in the chair, I want you to bring your hips forward and your torso back towards the shoulder part of the chair. You can even add a prop like a pillow back for a little support. So whichever variation, we're in this nice reclined position. And then we're going to grab that block like we talked about at the beginning of class. So it doesn't have to be a block, it could be anything that just creates a little bit of resistance as you press it. We're going to bring that in between our knees. Now, we're going to keep our feet on the floor. We're going to send our arms out wide to a T, a cactus, or allow them to rest on our lap if we're seated in the chair. And then slowly and with control, while you're pressing your knees together, allow both knees to come over towards the right side of the room. Let them hover maybe for a moment or gently touch down. And then with our exhale, let's come through center, still pressing the knees towards the prop as we allow the knees to fall towards the left side. Take it back through center. Over towards the right. Now this time we're going to pause here. Continue to squeeze the block, but allow the legs to fall. And then release any pressure. Inhale to bring them back through center. Beginning to press the prop once more as we switch it to the other side. Eventually letting the knees fall. We pause there. And then inhale, let's come back through center. Remove the prop, take any movement your body needs. As we start to find our way towards our final resting pose. As always, you can take a corpse pose or a constructive rest. You're more than welcome to add props like pillows, blankets, or a sweater or socks. You can move to someplace a little more comfortable if there's a nice recliner or couch or bed in your area. But take whatever steps you can take that the next few minutes start to create an incubated space of centering for these final moments that we have together. Really settle yourself in to whatever position brings you the most comfort and ease. Knowing that you can make any adjustments throughout the practice, throughout the meditation, so that you can make this just for you. A time of internal stillness. We'll begin to start to focus in on the breath itself. Notice how air feels as it moves in and out through your nose. And then notice the sensation as it passes the back of your throat. Really let yourself begin to drop into the sweet sense of stillness. Now we'll start to bring our attention to the part of us that lives in our torso, in our heart space. Begin to sense its life force, your sweet music. With the rhythm of your breath, out comes a primal beat. Can you sense that rhythm? If it helps, maybe make a connection with your heartbeat once again at pulse points or at your heart. Lock into this magical life force. This is simply you, your body, and that which connects you to every other living being. It's a cosmic synergy of life and love. Sometimes we may not think of our heart as a place that can lead or even reason. We leave that skill to our mind, and we allow rational thought to make our decisions. Or maybe you allow yourself to flow into situations. Do you allow yourself to trust that small voice? Well, bring to mind a recent situation in which you had a choice to make, big or small. How did it feel? What things did you take into consideration when weighing your options? Did you allow your feelings in your heart to have a voice? Or did you push it away, knowing that as a rational being, feelings have no place for you? Or maybe you work to be someone who gives their intuition and feeling self a vote. Do you trust and have faith in that soft part of yourself that comes from a place of love, nurturing? We'll take just a few moments right now to experience the equally and vastly different, yet vitally important voices of our heart and our mental intellect. There is no judgment here, only simple curiosity, maybe even playfulness. Now let's begin to return to the pure and simple experience of our heartbeat. Imagine with each beat an energy radiating away like a ray of light that fills every space in your body, every corner, every nook and cranny, and every cell. All the way until all your body radiates with the energy of your heartbeat. Can you feel the love and connection to yourself? Whatever you are feeling or not feeling is perfect and happening just the way it is supposed to. As we draw this meditation towards its conclusion, I ask that you try to hold on to the sensations and the feelings that may have been brought to our attention with this meditation. Realize that our thinking mind is one small aspect of our wondrous complexity as human beings. Our hearts are so delicate, yet so powerful. Sometimes we allow it to take a back seat to rational logic, to black and white outcomes. But as you move through your night, through your day tomorrow, and through your week, maybe you start to remember the space of your heart and the magical dance it performs every moment of your existence. Hearken to its wisdom. Welcome your vulnerability. Bask in your limitless capacity to love. We'll start to slowly come back into your room and space. Start to slowly move your body and feel the earth returning underneath of you. As you take a few deep breaths, maybe even the deepest breath of your stay so far. And when we're ready, gently opening your eyes. You are loved. You are held. And you are perfect. Thank you so much for joining today. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you.